Now, we're on to something funny, but also a little bit serious, kind of, anyway, which is Temuera Morrison, the actor who plays Boba Fett, has come out and spoken very candidly, as he always does, actually. This is nothing new, because I did a video on it, and someone was like, hey, he's being sarcastic, shut up. He wouldn't bite the hand that feeds him. Do you know anything about Temuera Morrison? He's very candid when he speaks about working with Lucasfilm. And he's come out and he's absolutely slammed Disney and Lucasfilm. Like really, really tore him a new one. Basically suggesting he's never coming back. He's never coming back. And part of that is money. There's a money situation. And he also critiques the Book of Boba Fett on a whole. It just tears it a new one. Says it was painful to watch. Critiques Mando as a character. Just not good. Not good. So we'll just take a look at this. Temuera Morrison confirms scrapped the Mandalorian season 3 role, and this is the sad part, and it is sad. I read this and I was like, really? The disrespect. So there's a recent convention appearance, and he says, look, I was supposed to be in the Mandalorian season 3, but nobody rang me. I was waiting for the phone call in New Zealand, waiting and wanting to give up. I mean, come on, give him a phone call for goodness sake. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Somebody said he did a voice for something or other in it, but I don't know.
Well, so he's been in quite a lot of stuff, but then he also he was also in Obi-Wan Kenobi. He played one of the down and out clone troopers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
but I didn't watch season 3, so I can't say. Yeah.
No, I don't remember him being in there at all, but maybe he was, but I don't remember him being in there. But I just think that's a shame, like he was lit. You know what this says to me, right? Is this to me speaks volumes about the Favreau Filoni change of ownership of the Mandalorian. So you imagine Favreau writes the Mandalorian, he's good to go, he's getting it ready, he's calling around to the actors, he's like, hey, Temuera, great to have you on. Can you, are you good to go for this sort of episode, this length of sort of runtime and shooting time? Temuera's like, yeah, absolutely. Just let me know when. Cool. And then in that time, what happens? Well, ladies and gents, Favreau gets pushed out, Filoni comes in, and then we sort of have that sort of element from there. I can see that happening. And then Filoni or Kathleen Kennedy doesn't call Temuera Morrison back. What do you think to that as a sort of a positive theory?
Well, I mean, not even getting into yet what he had said about what happened on his show.
Oh, we'll get there, but yeah.
Yeah, not to jump ahead, but like basically I look at it this way. If he showed up first in Mandalorian season 2, had his spin-off show, Mandalorian showed up in his spin-off show. I mean, logic would dictate that he should at some point possibly show up in Mandalorian season 3. I'm just spitballing a little bit here, but I mean, like,
well, he should have.
Yeah.
Because Mando literally goes to Tatooine. Goes back to Tatooine.
Goes back and he's not there. Yeah, and he got clipped, from what I heard. Yeah.
So I reckon that's part of it. Also, we just got culture
probably told them
in here briefly.
Go F themselves. Oh, he's driving. Don't drive and stream, you doof.
I'm good. I'm getting on a proper highway now, so 75 miles an hour. That should be good. That's right.
Well, we're just going to catch up with this story again, just to sort of not derail it too much. And then Temuera Morrison then continues further and says, well, that Mando guy stole a few chapters of my book. It was painful watching him turn up with some black, new, lethal sword. And the way he turned up in my book of Boba, he just destroyed everybody. I'm sure this guy is ruining my show, but I couldn't say anything. I'm not the writer, so I have to bear it, I guess.
Ouch.
Fucking. I mean...
you know what that also does? It confirms... I don't know if it confirms, but it does support a lot of the shit that we've heard and we've been reporting and talking about here for the last couple of years. And what went down. Yeah. This was probably not planned to be part of the game, is what I'm saying here. Because he sounds like he was taken completely off guard by this.
Yeah. As in, like, I had the Book of Boba Fett script, and then I went to shoot, and they're like, this guy's coming up now. Like, sorry.
Yeah. And now we had heard something to support that those scenes were actually stuff that was supposed to be in either the Rangers or Mando season 3, but got reworked. Yeah.
Yeah, Culture. What do you think?
Well, I feel bad for Temuera Morrison, to be honest with you. I mean, he kind of set aside his life and tried to get into good shape and just tried to, give us the best possible Boba Fett. And it's not the first time he's talked out about, or spoken out about these kinds of things. And just, I mean, he went after the show, if you remember, right, when it was being released, about not getting enough, dialogue and not being super happy with it. But round two of this, it paints the same picture that we suspected. I think Tom's right. I think we suspected that, a lot of the stuff that was added or whatever was from other shows, and they just kind of inserted stuff that didn't belong there in order to like string the audience along. And that's kind of what I feel like all of these Disney Star Wars shows are. It's Side Quest, the television show. That's what I think Disney Star Wars TV is. But it's just me.
Yeah, I mean, it's very much like I think it's pretty obvious now. Like, I think it's pretty obvious that he got sort of sidelined or blindsided, however you want to say it. And this is not the first time he's come out and said these things. He's very open and honest about critiquing.
Yeah, isn't that the case though regularly here? Because I feel like Disney is like, they bait and switch everything. Like it doesn't matter if it's it's to replace a male star with a male star or whatever. They have your primary character who doesn't end up doing very much. It's all these other side characters with their side quests that end up running these shows. But again, that could just be my perspective.
No, I think you're right. Like, I think they do have a habit of just sort of bait and switching people, just swapping people out left, right, and center. I mean, you could say that about basically everything that happened. The majority of their Star Wars and Marvel shows. So Loki semi-swapped out the lead for Sylvie or whatever her name was. Hawkeye semi-swapped that out for young female Hawkeye.
Kate Bishop, became the Kate.
And
Bishop.
I didn't hate Hawkeye, but yeah, like it's still very much, it is very much that sort of bait and switch. I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi sort of became the Reva storyline instead as our point of view characters for lots of things. I think you are right you are absolutely right to a degree. I mean, now Mando season 3 became very much the Katie Sackhoff. I can't remember her bloody name. My mind's drawn a blank. Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan season as well. So yeah, you are right. Like, I think they do have a habit of doing that. I think it's just creative bankruptcy anyway. They just don't know how to write good stories anymore. So they go, oh, we'll just change this character. That'll keep people guessing. It's like, no way. That won't. But one of the other things that Temuera Morrison came out and said was to do with basically, it's basically not coming back, right? So he came out and spoke about money. So he says, I think there are a few changes going on. We also came under the big umbrella known as Disney now too. So it's one of the last few conversations we had in LA. The conversation started like, oh, look, we're having a few changes. We're having a few cutbacks. And so he didn't really say too much. But he went further and says, when you hear that at the other end of the line, it's no good trying to negotiate any more money. That's for sure. So we'll see what happens. And that's all to do with the Book of Boba Fett. So basically, sounds like he's not coming back, and it's all to do with money because they've gone, we don't have any money. And he's gone, what? You're Disney. Of course you do. Of course you got money.
Yeah, what it sounds like to me is, like you said, they had set it up to where he was probably supposed to be in there in the Tatooine bits. And they gave him an offer for that, and he's like, this is less than I got probably for the episode of Mando season 2, let alone what I made on Boba Fett. And they're like, yeah, well, you're not getting any more than that, so take it or leave it. And then when he said leave it, they just wrote him out of the show.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, he worked really hard to get in. I'm going to keep saying that. He worked really hard to get into shape for that character. Because he, as rotund as he was, or a little rounder than you would have preferred, he'd actually been working quite diligently on getting in shape to, play this character again. So, like it always frustrates me, especially when you ask older characters to step up and do, to reprise a role, and then you treat them so poorly.
Well, it's a shame, isn't it? Because they use these people, they wheel them out and go, look, fans, you like this person, watch this. And then they go, fuck off after that. Fuck off. We don't want you now. Fuck off. It's just, it's just sad, isn't it? It's just a shame. And he's a pretty likable guy. Like, he's not, I like his sort of bluntness. I like his upfrontness. So I think it's disappointing. It's a shame. And it's more disappointing and a shame when they just wheel people out and go, hey, look at this guy, watch this guy, yay, and then just bin them off. Because they know full well that people will watch him.
Right. Yeah, and I want to hear him say Megabantha again. That was the best part of the show. Megabantha.
Dear, oh dear. Tom, you got any further thoughts on this?
I feel bad for him, but at the same time, I'm not surprised. He's an older male. He may not exactly be quote unquote white, but to them, he's not important. They showed that pretty obviously, and I'm sure that's why he's expressing it. As far as the other side of it, yeah, his show was shit. I mean, he probably should have rephrased what he was saying. I mean, somebody had said it in the chat. I can't remember who, but yeah, he was being upstaged, basically. And I know how that can feel. Like, you're like, this is supposed to be my show, and you brought in, this big guest without even telling me about it, most likely, from what it sounded like, or these things changed without any notice. And it was like, wait a minute, I thought this was supposed to be my show. Like,
I mean, the words ruining my show.
Exactly. I mean, and I'm not trying to say he's being egotistical. He's got a point. I mean, he only got one guest appearance on Mandalorian, really, wasn't it? 1 or 2 episodes, whatever it was.
I think it was like one, like one in like a scene, I think.
Yeah, he only had like a couple other scenes, but he wasn't. He didn't do much.
Yeah,
man,
shame.
Consider how far away from the amazing that we started with in this idea of doing these Disney Star Wars television shows, from the first episode of Mando to where we are now, where it's just they've dumbed it down to the point where, not only is the Force female, but it's now childish. It's just maybe it's for the best for him to just not frustrate himself with this role any longer. I'm not convinced they're going to bring back Boba Fett for a second season or anything else at this point. I don't think they have
brought it up at all. I don't think it's even been one thing. I don't think it's even been rumored, is what I was trying to say. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, there was talk early on of it coming back, but I can't imagine it. Not to mention the fact that when he's talking about the money, that's not, as Tom would say, fugazi, right? That Disney's got a financial problem right now. And I'm not expecting them to go into the same production cycle that they have been with their content for their streaming service, because it's just not financially viable. If you consider that they lose somewhere between $300 and $350 million per month on Disney Plus,
madness.
That's untenable. Yeah, untenable.
Yeah, you can't keep that up. Nick, what are your thoughts on the Temuera Morrison situation? Just real quick, we'll sort of come back to that, and I'll get your thoughts in on this now, dude. Have you up on this? Do you know what he's been saying?
Yeah. Me and Coach actually were talking about it last night, and I'm out of town. If I sound like shit, it's because I'm on a little cheap headset microphone.
Good.
We actually talked about all this last night, and I was getting stuff together for him to do a video. We dropped a video on it today. Temuera Morrison's been very vocal on his, almost like Mark Hamill was, on his displeasure of how they treated his character. So this is just another topping on the pizza of the disaster of Lucasfilm. It's just it's not surprising, after Book of Boba Fett and season 2 of Mando, and seeing the Mando season 2 poster that had Boba Fett on it,
So bad.
He's obviously was planned on being in it. I don't know if they were just cutting back on the OG characters because they wanted to focus more on their own created characters, or if things that he's said in the past pissed them off and they just weren't going to include him. I'm not sure on that part, but yeah, that's we got Boba Fett in season 2 of Mando. Then we got Jake Fett in Book of Boba Fett. He's not happy with the character. Most of all of the normal thinking fans are not happy with that Book of Boba Fett series either. So it's a continued mess over there at Lucasfilm. They don't know what the F they're doing over there with Star Wars whatsoever. Like, not even kind of.
No.
It's a complete shit show.
All right. Good. I'm glad.
I hope he comes back, but I hope it's the actual real Boba Fett. I see Star Wars Theory started the bring back Boba Fett hashtag on Twitter, which I'm all for, but I want the actual Boba Fett back, not the Book of Boba Fett back.
Not the watered down. You want the Mando season 1 episode 1 Boba Fett, which is what they obviously took, because the Mandalorian was a repurposed Boba Fett thing. That's all it was.
Yep. From a movie that they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So shame. I'm glad we managed to get your thoughts on that.